Hey everyone, welcome back. So, when we left off, we had just kind of gone through and put together a class to read our skeleton model and determine what kind of weapons he has in his hands. And from there, we kind of want that to define what animations he can use for attacking. Now, this skeleton model came with this mechanism setup that has a lot of different steps on it, and it represents every single type of attack animation. One-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, a bow and arrow animation, even though even if they don't have the bow and arrow equipped. So it just looks like he's pulling up one weapon and then sliding the other weapon along the handle, and it's just like it doesn't quite fit, right? Similarly, in here, there's no actual death animation. They do this blended animation for walking, which is fine, but it doesn't quite look right to me for the speed. And I think if I was going to do this, like I don't know, my movement controller right now doesn't even support strafing, so I'm not really too worried about this part of it. But I've also got a bunch of other animation controllers from my other models that I'd been meaning to come back and take another look at. Right? Like we got some very simple ones where it's just okay, it attacks, it moves, it dies, and it gets hit. And there's a few other things in here where the monster supports a few other animations, like might have a couple different types of attacks or spellcast animation, so on and so forth. But when I'd coded this stuff, I had my animation controllers that had a very common set of animations, like so much so that I made an enum called common animation. And I haven't really come across a reason to deviate from this like too much. And especially now that I've kind of gotten used to, or rather I've actually made use of animation overrides or animation controller overrides. I could make a state machine that looks something like this or is a little more complicated and supports all the different types of enums that I have here, and I can get away from needing these overridden animation controller classes that just replace the name of the animation states and the names of the variables that get set. I could have an animation controller class that specifically controls this particular type of animation controller, this animation state machine, and then as I need to use different types of controllers, I can make a new class to support those. To go back to the original problem, though, the main thing I want to solve is the issue of having the attack animation that's used by my controllers match the type of equipment they have equipped. So, I want to have a block animation only be used if they actually have a shield equipped, or the one-handed idle stance versus the two-handed idle stance being used where the enemy has its fists both wrapped around the handle of the weapon, to actually be used when they're holding a two-handed weapon. Similarly for the type of attack that gets used, and so on and so forth. But I think the flow of the animation state is very similar to what I've kind of already been dealing with. So I want that to I want to look at all these different animation controllers here, and I think I'm going to make one that is going to be my master, like common animation controller. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but we'll see from there. So I've got these 7 or so controllers that are all very similar, I think. Yeah, this guy's got a jump aside from a few other things, and he's got an extra attack. Similarly, like a few different, there's a couple different attack types. Claw, sting, forest wolf. Yeah, so I mean, very similar. There's a separate spell cast, and then a few different types of attacks. And I think that's kind of where I was getting into with having special attack versus a normal just attack animation. Spell cast on its own. I don't really have anything here for jump. Yeah, and he's got sleeping, which is the only one. Um, so yeah, looking at this, let's go ahead and actually I'm going to screen cap a few of these real quick so I can look at them at a glance. So excuse me if I'm a little quiet here for a quick minute. And that's probably fine. Now our skeleton has a lot more animations than this, but like I was mentioning before, several of them are overlap between the one-handed and two-handed. But I do want to take a quick look again. Yeah, despite having a shield, it looks like there isn't a guard animation. Yeah, I'll have to take that up with the artist later. That's quite frankly, that's a little annoying. Yeah. All right. Well, given that it's a Mechanim model, I can probably find something. It's just a little like why have a shield if you're not going to have an animation that uses it? But whatever. Let's go ahead and create a new animation controller. And we will call this we'll just call this enemy animation controller. And we'll go ahead and flow out our states for the moment. So create state, idle, and let's go ahead and move this over here. All right, so we got our idle state. Let's create some new. I'm just going to create a bunch of them here. There we go. We got some states to work with. So we're gonna have a idle, walk, run, hit. Die. Jump. Attack 1. I'm going to allow for a couple different attacks. We'll do 3 normal attacks, 3 special attacks, and spell cast. Spellcast, and we do have a we have 1 model with a sleeping animation, which is kind of annoying, but we'll go ahead and leave that for now. And these will have no animation clips for this particular setup. So let's go look at our parameters real quick. Yeah, so as far as parameters go, we need our idle is going to be our default state. Bool, walking. Walk, run. Sleep. Let's actually just go ahead and group these up real quick. Make it a little easier to keep track of things. There we go. So we can pop into idle, walk, run, sleep, trigger for jump, ooh. Okay. I don't know what that is, but I accidentally clicked it. A trigger for hit, trigger for die, a hit, die, I also have a fall down and get back up, right? For my skeleton. There we go. So that should cover pretty much everything. So let's start wiring that on up a little bit. So we're going to say make transition to walk is going to be walk is true. From walking, we can transition to run. When run is true, and we can transition backwards on both of these when the appropriate Boolean is false. We can jump. Jump's kind of a weird one. Actually, I don't think I need that because if I set the priority to look at run first, then it'll check if run is true. We'll go back to the run animation. Our second step will be to check the walk animation, and if walk is true, we go back. And for our third one, we'll make transition from idle for a neutral jump. So jump, and if we pop on back here, idle will be the third one we check, so I shouldn't actually need any condition on that. So we'll see how that works. Let's go ahead and do hit. And we're going to just transition back to idle on the exit time. I think we're going to transition from hit to fall down. Actually, let's go ahead and kill that. Let's make that a Boolean. And we can get up when fall down is false, and that will let us do a proper like stunned state of being, like unconscious, sleep, whatever. By that same reasoning, I can make the I could probably get rid of this sleeping state and use fall down as the sleeping state for most enemies. But I won't worry about that too much right now. So we're going to exit fall down when fall down is false, and we're going to exit that when the time is up. Alternately, we don't need to. We can do this from idle as well. And I know I can probably take advantage of the any state to do transitions to go to fall down from any other state, but uh, mm, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I might come back and change that, but I can only imagine the fall down state happening from within battle, so the enemy won't be running or walking during that transition. So we'll see. I only put fall down from idle instead of in addition to from hit because it might not be a stun hit, but it might be like a through a gas bomb at the enemy or like some item usage or some skill that isn't an actual physical hit. So I don't want to play the hit animation. And let's go ahead and just do our attacks and special attacks. We can go ahead and put these all down here in the bottom left. And I'll actually move some of these. Actually, before we do that, I'm not sure I want this exit transition here because exit will put us back at the entry point and we might go back into idle. I think in code I handle that, but for one of the controllers I had before, the I think it was the rabbit one specifically, it doesn't actually tie back to exit. B, however, does the B do it? Because those are really the only two enemies I've used to any actual extent. Let's go and save. Yeah, the B doesn't go to exit either. What about the bunny? No, the bunny's muted. Yeah. Okay, so the exit transition isn't something I want to use. Oops. So we'll just go ahead and kill that. And we'll leave our exit over here. Just with our any state. And let's go ahead and attack 1, 2, and 3. And transition back at exit time. Same with our special attack triggers. And we will transition to a spell cast. And we will transition to sleeping. Oh, wait, I do have it. There it is. Yeah, true. And our transition back will be on false. And there is a animation controller. Make those a little wider apart. So that's a animation state controller and a half. So I think in our next part we will wire this up in code. So thank you for watching, and I will catch y'all next time. Take care.